Hey everybody, so I'm Colin and this is Dana, and we're going to speak about the Occupy movement. Occupy is a worldwide movement of autonomous groups that have occupied public space to try to affect social change. It spans from New York to the South Island Cork, and in cities in Asia, Australia, Africa, and all around Europe and the Americas. So to find the movement's roots, we have to look at the financial crash of 2008. Across the world, the economy was in free fall as housing and credit bubbles simultaneously burst. Although I have here pictures of distressed stockbrokers and traders, they are not the ones that suffered. It has been ordinary people that have had to pay. Even though dodgy banking practices was one of the causes of the crash, the banks have been given billions in public funds, while healthcare, education and social spending has been slashed. And there seems no end to the austerity. New taxes and cuts are threatened every week, while the wealthy remain unaffected. This is after years of being told that the wealth would trickle down. Of course, we know now that the thing that's been trickling down on us isn't wealth, but it's debt. To bail out private investors, states have piled generations of debt on their citizens. And before this crash, just like before every economic crash in history, we were told that the boom-bust cycle of capitalism was over, that it wouldn't happen this time. In Ireland, we were told housing prices would level off, that there would be a soft landing. Only one mainstream economist challenged this, was Morgan Kelly. But when he did, he pointed out when he did that for somebody to believe the soft landing theory, they would have to ignore the entire history of economics. But he was told by the Taoiseach he should kill himself, and he was ridiculed by the media and was berated by fellow economists.
In New York, people could no longer remain silent and took action. On September 17th, they occupied Wall Street and set up camp. They protested with a whole new discourse. The richest 1% are gaining while the other 99% suffer. And it's empirically true, there are more billionaires in the world now than there were in 2008. This new discourse was a particularly brilliant step forward in America, where for decades the message was, what's good for General Motors is good for America, has been widely accepted. In Ireland, inequality has also been a seriously underaddressed issue. The 1% own 34% of the wealth. And in the last budget, all those earning more than $250,000 a year actually gained in their take-home income. The media has, as usual, mocked the movement. They don't know why they're protesting. They have no demands or leaders. They don't know anything about economics. We don't have to look too far to note that people understood the cause of the crash very well. To try and explain dodgy credit instruments like derivations in one small piece of cardboard is no easy task, as you can see she's trying to do. Those that have suffered from the neoliberal assault on all social provisions protests in droves. Like this guy, coming up next. He has a father who's unemployed, a mother who's 69 and works, and a sister who lost her home.
So as the issues being addressed affect 99% of all countries, the movement is quickly caught on across the globe. Occupied city centres are everywhere. This next image will show is from October, and it shows 1,039 occupied sites. But in times in the last 2 months, it has almost reached 2,000. In Cork, we set up our camp a week after occupied Dublin. But we held a big march to start it off. But unlike other big marches that end with a speech from somebody who looks for your vote, we ended ours by inviting people to get involved and help us set up a campsite and create a space for social change. Within a few days, we had a kitchen and a covered meeting space. When we started, like me personally, I thought the thing might last a few days, but the public support's been so amazing that we've been around now for more than 5 weeks. People have donated time, food, blankets, and huge amounts of energy. Like all our Occupy sites, we don't have any one leadership. Instead, we all consider ourselves leaders. We take major decisions in general assemblies that we hold every weekday evening at 6 p.m. and are open to for all to come along, by the way, so feel free. We agree things by consensus, and subgroups deal with the micromanagement of the camp. We call this, you could call this a prefigurative politics. You try and create a miniature version of the kind of society that you want to have. And of course, you see from all the photos that the sun is always shining on us. This is an example of one of our general assemblies. We're all sitting in a circle and trying to agree on stuff. So we don't do politics like others do, because we realize that in order for social change to be meaningful and effective in the long term, it is from below, from the vast majority, that it must emerge. So instead of lobbying politicians for small changes, we communicate to 99% and try and build a movement for real long-term social change.
The SICE is a space for us to develop our understanding of the problems in our society, a space to think outside of the narrow framework of debate that we see in our media. Every evening we hold at least one talk, discussion or workshop. Dozens of authors, academics and ordinary people with something to say have given talks at the SICE. We can discuss such things as whether the system in its entirety needs to be changed or whether progressive reforms can soften the harsh edges of capitalism. We discuss how to affect social change and then go and try and affect it. We protested against a recent $1 billion Anglo-Irish bond the government voluntarily paid out to financial speculators. As you see here, in a minute now, we'll see here there's a style of reverse bank robbery. So robbing the people to pay the banks is more or less happening. The government in Ama robbing everyone. And they're the cheques that we made out and had €1 billion written on it. So, and with 24 primary school kids, we held a teach-in in AAB South Mall branch to highlight how education suffers cutbacks while banks get bailouts. And for the 3rd of December, we are organising the march against the planned austerity measures in this year's budget. So please come along and support us because it's involving everyone here as well as our families and children and everything. It's on at 2 o'clock in Emma Place. We believe in the possibility that perhaps there is an alternative to a world defined by precarity, mass poverty, inequality and environmental destruction. An alternative to a world where people suffer so that markets can be free. We don't claim to have all the answers, instead we want to engage in discussion with the rest of 99% and, like that guy, let's figure this shit out together.
So visitors are always welcome for more for a cup of tea, a chat, a workshop, and of course we love people getting involved in the day-to-day work. So if you too love humanity and think you can do better, then Occupy Cork.
Yay!